Welcome to the Simpsons Season 16 DVD. This is episode FABF23, Treehouse of Horror 15, original air date November 7th, 2004. I'm Elgene.
I'm David Silverman.
I'm Tim Long.
I'm Raymond Persi.
Matt Selman.
I'm Bill Odenkirk.
Tom Gammill.
Max Pross.
And here we have the comedy of Homer eating himself and the Simpsons being cooked.
Yeah, this is a parody of sitcoms that used to be on network television but aren't anymore. Although you can still see them on like Disney Channel and things like that. And it's just a brief opening with Kang and Kodos because they're, I believe, in any. Oh, they are at the end of the.
They did come at the end, yes.
Yeah.
But it's always fun with animating Kang and Kodos, and also you can now see what the Simpsons would be like if they had a laugh track. That's how they know me, just Lard.
I like that the credits begin very soon after the show starts. It's a very short show. I should say that this episode aired right around Election Day 2004. We're recording this a month before the election, 2012. I predict that Obama will be reelected with 332, maybe. I just might guess, but we'll see if I'm right.
Let's see.
Now, this is a parody of a movie based on a book by Stephen King, The Dead Zone, where, the Simpsons movie is plot is similar to a book that Stephen King put out later. But I would have to say we certainly have, borrowed and used so many things from Stephen King that the debt really goes in the other direction.
He's welcome to it. A lot of fun doing this. Now, you'll see the shot where he shakes his hand right here. We actually animated into that as opposed to just zooming into it because it just had a better feel to it than to feel like the camera was coming in with a short lens.
Is that white iris a separate layer, or is it a part of the drawing?
There's separate layers. He's on one layer and the background's on separate layers, and give it a sense of multiplane.
And the plot of The Dead Zone is obviously a man who sees little glimpses of the future and how that affects his life.
Right.
Now,
right.
Are the visions and the eventual realization of those visions, are they the same animation, or did you redraw them?
We tried to. I think we used the same animation. That's why when Hibbert's throwing to his death, he's smiling because he's giving himself a shot as opposed to screaming. So I think the same here, that when he sees it, well, he obviously reads the same animation.
No, I don't want to ruin the real Dead Zone, but the ending is a political candidate shields himself from an assassination with a child, which ruins his career.
I touched Romney the other day, and I saw him working at a Hardee's serving coffee on the morning shift.
Didn't he pick up one of your kids when somebody shot at him? And wasn't it the same thing? Wasn't there a real Rosie O'Donnell musical? Is that what that's based on?
I think so. Or she was in like that fine Zoocalcicle, another great triumph on Broadway.
Seussical.
Seussical the musical.
One worry I always have at the Halloween credits is that these things take up all of Act 1. That they may spill into Act 2, but we didn't quite have it happen.
I worry sometimes that they're going to be too funny.
Yeah, we let the writers, everybody in the show, do their own Halloween name, and very rarely do they get, asked to come up with another one.
You die eating a submarine sandwich.
What kind of bread?
Nice animation of Flanders jittering around by Anna Maltese.
Flanders, why are you moving?
How much harder would you say a Halloween show is to direct if you could put a number on it than a regular episode?
Well, for regular episodes, it's like a 10. This is like a 15 in difficulty. Because they're all difficult, right, Raymond?
Yes.
They're all
Every
hard
single one has its own challenges.
Yeah. So, but the Halloween is, because the thing is, Halloween has like 3 different stories. You have like 3 different production designs for each one, and like a different idea of how to animate for each one.
Yeah, I've been told, but you guys can correct me, is that one of the hardest things is, say, the Fantastic Voyage. You've got to redesign everything, which you wouldn't normally do in an episode.
Right. I mean, many of them, you have, like the next 2 episodes, there is no real like stock you could use. Everything has been redesigned. And this is a fun shot to do. It's kind of like the last shot in Spellbound, the point of view from the gun.
I remember seeing the pencil tests for this when you were doing this, David.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, it's spectacular, what we call acting, which mean the animation of Homer, as the gun was pointed at him. Because, that's really a lot of work, right?
Yeah, because it's all different animation, different poses and so forth. But this is actually my favorite line in this. Oh, this is great because My AD, Eric Tran, was able to animate the explosion before we had real effects animators. So that really helped us.
It's interesting that he's left-handed, but it's his right eye that keeps bulging out.
Yeah, I meant to do that. Oops. Here's my favorite line. But ice cream cake.
I will say the clip that ends this segment, where Flanders is trying to stop Homer, and then Homer's tongue pushes the button. I've shown it now in about 100 different little talks. It always gets a big laugh. It always works.
Oh, it's one of the last things before the movie that I actually was able to animate was his staggering back and forth. I had some nice drawings that Eric Tran had done, and then I thought, well, I just want to animate. I just want to see what it looks like. I had a thought of how to do it.
I love the way
Before
his
which
tongue
movie?
falls out. Yeah.
You mean when you saw Sideways? Or?
Yeah.
No, actually, this area of The Simpsons, seasons 16 to 19, is like a total blur for us because that's when we were doing the feature at the same time as the show, which was like a nutty thing to do at the same time, but we did it somehow.
Yeah, so here it comes. The stagger backwards and then trying to catch himself.
Now, do you actually physically do this and, have somebody watch you try to animate from that, or?
Well, I animated that scene, and then someone else animated, Eric animated that, and then I decided I really wanted to just animate the tongue.
The wet sound really helps it too.
Yeah.
It's not a very subtle story that the town is destroyed by something that says core destruct. It's just,
Yeah, it's a bad button to
no
put in your plan.
surprise
Aha, it's so
in
prominent.
that at all.
Well, I was just watching The Bride of Frankenstein, and they had the same thing. The lever, don't press the lever. Why is there a destruct button in their big, tall castle laboratory?
Don't build one. End of story.
These are great angel wings. You really can't believe they can fly.
We had a real angel come in.
God with 4 fingers and a thumb. That's
Absolutely.
from Homer the Heretic.
We had many different endings of this, so this was the one we ended up with.
I like the way the clouds move as Glad walks through them. Really cool directing. All right, the title of Takeoff on 4 Weddings and a Funeral, but this is clearly us, like many people, decided to parody Sherlock Holmes because he's public domain.
But this really predates a huge wave of Sherlock
It
Holmes material.
It
started
does, yeah.
It
Like the
started
Benedict
it,
Cumberbatch
this.
show. Yeah, they got the idea from this. And not from the Arthur Conan Doyle books.
Uh-huh.
No.
Was this your idea, Selman, to do?
Yeah, because I'm a big Sherlock Holmes. Well, nut would be an exaggeration, but no, I've read all the
equanimity,
books a
yeah.
lot and read
Elementary, Dr. Sel.
read a lot of biographies of Arthur Conan Doyle, and I think a lot of writers love the Victorian League of Extraordinary Gentlemen era culture and world. It's a fun world to explore.
I would say, to me, this may sound stupid, but he was the first superhero. Like the first,
The first
popular
super sleuth.
character like that. And people, I remember reading when he was killed off in the middle of the series, people were aghast and demanded that Doyle bring him back.
Yeah,
Which he
yeah.
did, kind of against his will.
But there used to be long lines of people queuing up for when the Strand would come out, where the stories were in. It's like a big movie opening for them.
The beginning, of course, is a reference to Jack the Ripper, whose murder is still unsolved.
Watching
But-
this morning, I was reminded of all our debates about which character should have English accents and which one shouldn't. I couldn't quite make out what the overriding principle was, but it all seemed right.
Those were a bit of a difficult debate.
Bit of a muddle now.
Yeah.
Pip, pip.
Mine is kind of a Dick Van Dyke British accent.
I mean, I like that we were able to squeeze in a little bit of an actual clue and a mystery also.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty complete story, quite apart from the comedy.
Well, on an Easter egg on this DVD, we will reveal who Jack the Ripper was.
We don't want to give it away for those who haven't seen it.
By the way, one thing I want to mention, just so it doesn't go by too quickly, at the end of this, it was a Windsor McKay parody, right?
You're right. That was really great fun because we spent a lot of time researching that and did all sorts of Windsor McKay style drawings based on Little Nemo.
And didn't Winsor McCay do the very first animated cartoon?
Yes, pretty
he did.
much. Yeah, I mean,
There's a dinosaur.
Gertie
Yeah,
the
there's
dinosaur.
dinosaur
it's
footage.
not the first per se, but it's the first one with character and expression. That was probably the you'd say about Gertie, wouldn't you say, Raymond?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the one that really captured people's imaginations.
Yeah, because here's an animated character that has a real personality and was actually thinking.
Also, it was really early, like 1900 or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he used to go to
10
like
or something.
vaudeville houses. and
Yeah,
show-
he'd perform it. He had the great thing. He'd go off screen and reappear on screen, because he drew himself into it.
Oh, that must have been really like audience must have like flipped their
flipped
lids
that,
in that
absolutely.
period. And there is the Annie Awards. Their highest honor is the Windsor McKay Award, which Matt Groening has won, and Brad Bird.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of one of my favorite things. The Stulowitz.
Simon Stulowitz.
Simon Stulowitz.
What I loved is that Bart and Lisa don't really have much reaction when a talking stool runs past them.
No.
They're too kind of wrapped up in the mystery. This is pretty great.
It's great. Anna Maltese animated this. Really great job.
We should bring this character back.
I think so.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Got a nice little walk.
I just think it's the most on-the-nose Sherlock Holmes parody.
Yeah, because Stulowitz showed up in a couple of the stories.
Well, you can pretty much tell who it is from that silhouette, I think.
Yeah.
It was a good idea that the Bart-Lisa dynamic really is Holmes and Watson. I would always think Watson was the stupidest man in the world because, like, a woman would come up and go, "Penny for you, Mom," and he'd go, "Get away from me, bigger woman," and then it would be Holmes in disguise. And, "Holmes, I didn't recognize you." But like, really, like, David, if you dressed up like a woman,
You'd never recognize me.
When I like go, "Oh, bigger woman," I mean, like Watson is for a doctor, he's really stupid.
Well, you can't tell the difference between man and woman, that's for sure.
I love the Opium Den. It's so fantastic.
Yeah, there's a really good music cue by Alf Clausen in this sequence. When they're running around.
Really
I
nice.
feel like our world fit organically into all these archetypes so well.
Well, Jim had a good quote about The Simpsons. He just said, whatever story you want to do, they've got their costumes and they'll put them on and they'll do, like they're ready for anything.
He's
This is a
throwing
fairly
opium
complicated
addicts
scene
at
to
them.
do.
This
That's
is cool, yeah.
A lot of discussion about who to put in the opium den. For a while,
Opium Stew was there.
opium stew. Somebody wanted to do a caricature of me, but I thought, it's a little too inside. I don't think you wouldn't have wanted me.
Very few of people know that you actually are an opium addict.
Well, now a lot
bit
of them
offensive.
apparently know.
Well, we kind of have a rule, too, like where we do try not to put ourselves in the show, although unknown to me, like I was used as a model for an Itchy and Scratchy writer. That's Krabappel there, by the way. Cookie Kwan.
Yes.
But you're allowed to show a kid doing opium?
Absolutely.
It's really, but on the other hand, like we wanted to have Lisa drink wine in Italy, just a little glass, just a little drink, and they wouldn't let us do it.
It's a Halloween episode. We let our kids once a year do opium.
The censors compromised with that she take laudanum,
I will
which is
admit,
just a tincture of opium, as we all know.
I am surprised we can show some of this violence at 8 p.m. on a Sunday.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's so funny in America. It's like violence, no big deal, but like a little wine.
Oh no, that's a wrong direction. No, a
I
lot
happen
of
to think America's the greatest country in the
Here
world.
comes the clue. Here's
here
the
comes a
clue.
big clue.
It's the
Hey,
clue.
guys, watching the clue? We should have flashed underneath clue.
By the way, were there public hangings in London in 1890? I'm just asking.
I don't know.
I think so.
Now you'll notice we gave a Bill Clinton sort of hand gesture there.
Love the clue.
Now, you notice she was sniffing, folks.
Fragrance of eel pie.
Caught in the act.
People like eel pie.
Yeah? Well, how many of them have mutton chops?
Yeah, explain to me that.
Why can't you be more like Eddie? He never says a word against me.
Well, that's because you cut out his tongue.
It hasn't really grown back. I haven't heard much of Eddie lately in the last seasons.
Suffer
Yeah, there
for
may
his
be
art.
other reasons behind that. I won't discuss.
Exactly.
Case even you couldn't solve. And besides, so long, you stupid British twitch!
I like his exit line. And we think we threw that in later, that we said, oh, it should be Frank in the balloon. It was just an untended balloon at first.
By the way, another thing, I love this like 1890s Ken Kodo ship. When we
Oh,
do a
yes.
crowd like we had at the hanging, the rule is like we try to do them in like 1 or 2 shots only, like the great shot where they're running through it, but you don't see it otherwise.
The bowlers on top of the domes crack me up.
Right. Steampunk. Kangen Kodos.
And here we go into Windsor McKay land.
Yeah, his other big thing besides Gertie was Little Nemo and Slumberland,
Right,
which I'm sure everybody's
right.
seen.
Wow.
But in this show, because this is before we were doing the movie, but we were talking about doing the movie, of course. We were working on it. And I was sort of using this to experiment with multiplane and moving the camera and just like seeing what we could do. And it was a great sort of warm up to the movie.
We thought your experiments were mad.
They were a little mad.
He was laughed out of the Academy of TV Arts and Sciences.
But you showed them, David.
But you notice it's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Now, this is obviously Fantastic Voyage. After ours aired, I guess I had heard there was a Family Guy that aired a little before that also did Fantastic Voyage. Although the truth is Fantastic Voyage is something that has been not only around but satirized for a long time. I was researching it, and I had always thought it was a book by Isaac Asimov, and it was, but it was actually a movie first. The book was written based on the movie, but the book came out first. So the original movie was written by Jerome Bixby, Otto Clement, and Harry Kleiner.
Oh, right. And it's directed by Richard Fleischer, connected to animation.
The movie predates Bodies.
And then, I didn't know this, it was also, or maybe I did remember, it was actually an animated television series in 1968.
Wow.
I
So they
didn't
went
know
into
that
a
either.
body every show.
Every season was a new body.
Nice work by Paul Wee here.
And then in Wikipedia it mentions, I guess you guys worked on this, the Anwar Sadat sketch.
Oh, the micro dentist on Saturday Night Live.
Kirk Douglas was the host.
Yeah,
Was that written by Jim Downey?
Jim Downey, Franken and Davis, and it's Garrett Morris as Anwar Sadat, and they all go. It actually has a similar joke where I remember Bill Murray got a big laugh going, "Why did I drink those 3 pots of tea before the mission?"
This is back in the 70s. We were flying by the seat of our pants.
That was Selman. That was your insistence about the Marge not having any duties.
Yes,
Just,
I insisted that
I'm Marge.
Marge did
remember
not
him
have
really-
a value on
I
the team.
noticed that Burns switched
You're the
from
one that pitched that Marge got bustier when her clothes came off?
Maybe.
pretty
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
Well, you needed like a 60s Raquel
Burns,
Welch type.
I hate to be this. Went from briefs to boxers. What's that about? Trying to cover both sides.
Refunds still available for this DVD, folks.
We're gonna fix this up.
You will return for the full
We have a
amount.
retake coming in.
There was a plot. We explained it in a line, but then we cut it.
Well, part of what happened, the animatic for this episode was accidentally swallowed by David Silverman, and we had to go get it inside his body.
You don't want to know it came
There's
out.
some people still inside.
I think Bill had some funny stuff in his draft where like about Homer's kind of cocky attitude. His,
Oh, yeah, right.
His captain's attitude of like, being the guy who doesn't listen to brainiacs and just going with
Yeah,
his
his
gut.
attitude towards science changes rather dramatically.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Our crumb artwork,
I love this. This is hilarious.
which we cleared with him.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Seriously, though, touch one and you're dead.
Now, of course, we all watched Fantastic Voyage too.
Many times, yeah.
Many times. Great art direction, and it's very well lit inside the human body. You'll notice.
And this part was Raquel Welch in the movie, right?
Yeah.
And they
Yes,
made characters of these of Marge and Homer in these suits. There's
That's one of my
actual
favorite things is that, there are toys of this
toys of this,
episode.
yeah.
Oh, I know. It's amazing.
And Island of Dr. Hibbert, which you also directed.
Yeah. It's fun to see that. The ship was really. I love the way the ship's designed. It's really perfect.
We'll have to catch a ride on a nerve impulse. The body's information superhighway. Learning is cool. Yeah!
And to make sure we get there super fast, I'm hitting all the buttons with my palm.
Well, that hurt like hell.
It's funny because so many science fiction things have come true, but this transport
hasn't quite worked out yet. No,
I would imagine mathematically miniaturization is a real. That's like a transporter. It's like how do you really shrink something?
Well, the idea is like they talk about changing the distance between the electrons and the nucleus, but it'll still be the same weight, wouldn't it?
Right, and the electron distance from the nucleus, I believe, is determined by quantum theory. So there's no.
Ain't really possible. Sorry, folks, ain't gonna happen.
Enjoy the episode and stop worrying.
Well, the way to shrink your bank account is get married.
Look at the way they scowl at him.
So this is like a stomach acid, which actually would be extremely painful. And
Yes. Well, his suit is really tough. It's very strong fibers.
He did that thing they did in Prometheus, which is you're like it's in a strange environment. You immediately throw off your helmet. Like it's your first reaction. Like I'll be fine.
Take off the helmet. Why not? I can breathe.
Stupid stuffy helmet. What do I need that for?
For those of you who are squeamish, you may not enjoy this part.
Or you may have stopped watching earlier.
That's right.
Really well done.
Yes.
Thank you. We tried to make it funny.
Oh, no, I think it looks really great.
Good.
I wonder if there's something on the left. There is.
Oh, my goodness. What do you know?
You don't want to piss off a man who can kick you in the crotch from the inside.
You know, he looks kind of like Zoidberg.
He does.
Yeah.
Which who had previously existed.
Now, we had an artist, Stephanie Arnett, and she's also a dancer. And she was able to choreograph this and just rough it in. And
what else can she do?
Well, she can do the music, too. And so she did this whole dance scene. This was a fairly complicated shot to do. We had this, and we had all separate levels of different people. So it was a nice callback.
Yeah, premise for these Halloween shows often is that they're like Saturday Night Live episodes where the cast can reappear.
Right.
Take everybody.
Yeah.
Even though that makes no sense. Kind of a lame Halloween name on my part. Oh, and this is a sort of reference to the sitcom at the beginning.
This is the actual theme song from Perfect Strangers.
Yes.
Reliving those fabulous moments you saw minutes ago.
One of the best self-aggrandizing Wikipedia pages is of the guy who really wrote this song, by the way. We read it as research. Don't remember his name, but he knows it.
Is this really the Perfect Strangers thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tom, you wrote
And what's
50
great is all those
Perfect
clips are in order.
In case you missed the episode, just watch the credits.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Mm-hmm.